She didn't beg for help. That was the first sign something was horribly wrong. When ex-FBI agent Declan Rowe pushed open the warehouse door, he expected silence. Instead, he found a woman hanging from a steel frame, bruised, shaking, her torn dress barely holding together. But the moment she saw him, her eyes widened in terror. Not relief. Terror. "Please," she whispered,
What are you gonna do?
voice cracking. "Don't save me.
Please don't hurt me.
If he knows I survived, you'll die too." Thor, Declan's German shepherd, growled at the darkness, as if the monster who did this was still near, still watching. Who was she? Why was she left to die? And why did her survival scare her more than death itself? Before we dive deeper, if stories of courage, justice, and God's unseen miracles move you, make sure to subscribe, comment, and share. You won't want to miss what happens next. The rain had begun as a soft tapping on the hood of Declan Hayes' truck. But it quickly turned violent, sheets of cold water slashing across the abandoned industrial strip, like nature was trying to erase it from the earth. Declan didn't come here often. He avoided places where the past could speak too loudly. But tonight, Thor wouldn't sit still. The 5-year-old German shepherd, muscular under his sable black tan coat with that small white patch on his chest, had begun pacing in the passenger seat the moment they turned down the service road. His deep brown gold eyes were wide, frantic, flicking between the windshield and Declan, as though urging him towards something he could already smell. Fear, blood, or the remnants of a soul clinging to life. Thor was trained, sharp, loyal, born for danger. But this wasn't his usual alert. This was desperation. Declan tightened his grip on the wheel. At 34, he carried a face carved by storms. Angular jawline, light stubble, deep-set gray-blue eyes that had seen too much and refused to forget. His dark hair fell slightly over his forehead in damp strands, giving him the look of a man who lived somewhere between survival and sorrow. People often called him distant. Maybe they were right. A man doesn't lose a mother and child on the same night without pieces of himself sealing shut forever. And yet, despite how hard he fought it, some part of him had never stopped listening for voices in the dark. Thor barked once, sharp, urgent. Declan followed his gaze. A warehouse door, half open, rocking lightly in the wind. "Easy, boy," Declan murmured, though his pulse had already shifted into that cold, steady rhythm that came from years of FBI training. He pushed the door fully open. Inside, shadows crawled. At first, he thought the shape suspended from the steel support beam was some abandoned equipment. But then lightning burst through the cracks in the corrugated roof, illuminating pale skin, bloodied wrists, and a body trembling with the last scraps of strength. A woman. Declan stepped forward, boots splashing through puddles, and Thor moved with him, hackles raised. She was hanging by rope cuffs designed to restrain without breaking bone, professional work. Her long caramel brown hair was plastered to her cheeks, soaked with sweat and rain. Her satin ivory dress, once elegant, was shredded, the lower half torn high from rough handling, exposing bruises blooming across her thighs and hips. Bare feet dangled inches above the concrete. Her skin was cold, her breathing shallow, her lips cracked. Yet her face, even in ruin, it was breathtaking. High cheekbones, a refined jawline, eyes swollen from crying but still holding something fierce beneath the fear. Not fragile, not broken, just pushed past the edge of what any human should endure. She forced her eyelids open as Declan reached for the rope. Those dark eyes widened in terror, not at the ropes, but at the sight of him. "No, don't." Her voice was a shredded whisper, the sound of someone who had screamed until she had nothing left. "Don't take me back to him. Please." Declan froze, not because of the words, but the way she said them, like rescue was more terrifying than death. "It's all right," he said quietly, though his voice wavered with a pulse of anger at whoever had done this. "I'm not here to hurt you." She tried to shake her head, but the motion only made her body sway. Rainwater dripped from her chin onto the dirty floor. Thor suddenly lunged to the side, growling at a dark corner of the warehouse. Declan's instincts flared. Someone had been here recently, maybe seconds ago. The dog's reaction wasn't random. He was tracking a scent, something sharp and metallic, something dangerous. The hairs on Declan's arms rose. They weren't alone, or at least they hadn't been. He slashed the rope with his tactical knife. Her body fell, limp but not lifeless, collapsing against his chest. She was shockingly light, too light, like someone who had been starved, drained, and held under a sunless sky for days. Declan steadied her as Thor circled protectively, snarling low. Her breath trembled against his collarbone. Her fingers, cold, shaking, found his shirt and clung to it. "If I die," she whispered, barely audible over the rain, "open the ring." Then her eyes rolled back, and her body went still. Declan gathered her into his arms and carried her toward the truck. The moment he stepped outside, wind slapped across his face, and rain cascaded over both of them like a baptism gone wrong. Thor leapt into the back seat, never taking his eyes off the warehouse behind them. Declan laid the woman, no, the victim, across the seat. The satin dress clung to her like a ghost of who she had been. Only one thing looked untouched: the ring on her left hand. Simple, white gold, too heavy for jewelry. The faintest seam ran along the edge, a clue, a message, a secret. He didn't touch it yet. Instead, he checked her pulse, faint but there. He reached for the radio to call emergency services, but before he even pressed the button, breaking news blared through the speakers. Tech billionaire Serena Caldwell remains missing on the third day of what authorities believe is a highly coordinated abduction. Declan's gaze shot to the unconscious woman. Serena Caldwell, one of the youngest, most influential CEOs in the country, known for her poise, her brilliance, her quiet beauty. A woman the world respected, now bruised, bloodied, and hanging from a steel beam like a message. Thor whined softly, nudging her arm with his nose. "Yeah," Declan muttered, swallowing a knot in his throat. "I know. She needs help." He reached out to turn the ignition. And Thor growled again, this time with a deep, vibrating intensity that sent fear prickling down Declan's spine. Declan followed the dog's line of sight. Under the truck, a blinking red light. He slid down into the mud and looked beneath the frame. A GPS tracker, small, sophisticated. Dust around it showed it wasn't attached tonight. It had been there for days, weeks, maybe longer. Someone had been tracking Declan, not Serena. Declan. The implication rippled through him cold as the rain. A memory slammed into him without warning. Another night, another storm, another victim he couldn't save. A mother holding her child, begging him to hurry, begging him not to leave them behind. The gunshot, the scream, the silence. Thor barked sharply, snapping him back to the present. The dog wasn't barking at the tracker now. He was staring into the darkness, tail stiff, body lowered, as though something, or someone, had just slipped out of sight. The temperature seemed to drop, the hairs rising on Declan's arms. It felt like a warning, not from the darkness, from the past. Declan wiped rain from his eyes and lifted Serena's limp form more securely against him. Whoever had left her in that warehouse had not expected her to survive. Whoever planted the tracker had expected him to lead them somewhere. And whoever whispered threats in Serena's nightmares, they were far from finished. He turned the key. The engine growled to life. As he pulled onto the road, a thin red dot, a sniper's sight or a laser rangefinder, flicked briefly on the warehouse wall behind them, then vanished. Someone had watched him take her. Someone knew exactly where they were going now. And the storm outside was nothing compared to the storm beginning inside his chest. If this moment touched you, leave a like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe so you don't miss how faith, fate, and God's quiet miracles guide the next chapter of this journey. The storm chased them through the trees until the road dissolved into mud and mist. Declan Hayes drove with one hand on the wheel, the other steadying the unconscious woman beside him. Serena Caldwell lay curled against the worn leather seat, her shredded ivory dress clinging to bruised skin. Her beauty, once polished, untouchable, now trembled beneath exhaustion and cold rain. Thor watched her from the back seat. The 5-year-old German shepherd sat alert, his sable black tan coat bristling. His golden brown eyes followed every tremor of her breath. He sensed fragility the way only a loyal dog could, instinctively, urgently, protectively. Declan turned down the gravel path leading to his cabin. A small wooden home hidden inside thick pine and darkness. A place chosen for silence. A place to forget. But the past always found him anyway. He parked. The engine went quiet. Rain whispered across the roof like a warning. Serena jolted awake with a cry, raw, sharp, terrified. Her eyes were wide and unfocused, pupils shaking. She pressed herself against the seat, breath breaking in ragged bursts. Thor moved first. He leaned forward and touched her hand with his nose. A soft, grounding gesture. Something gentle in a world that had not been kind to her. Serena's breath loosened. Just a little. Declan crouched beside her. "You're safe," he said quietly. "No one followed us." Her gaze searched the dark forest, the cabin, the open door, the shadows. Then her voice cracked. "Where is he?" Declan's pulse stilled. "Who?" Her lips trembled. "My son." Silence. Even the storm outside seemed to pause. "I never held him," she whispered. "They took him from me the moment he was born. Said he died. But he didn't. I know he didn't." Her voice broke into pieces. "He's alive. I can feel it." Nothing in the news had ever mentioned her having a child. Nothing in her public life suggested it. Yet the grief in her eyes was real enough to drown in. Declan carried her into the cabin. The air smelled of pine, rain, and the quiet life he had built alone. Serena curled on the couch, trembling beneath the blanket he wrapped around her. Thor settled beside her, chin resting on his paws, eyes watchful. Declan handed her water. She drank slowly, shakily. Her hand drifted to the ring, white gold, simple, heavier than jewelry should be. "The ring," Declan said softly. "You told me to open it if you died." Serena closed her eyes. "Because the truth had to live, even if I didn't." Her words carried more weight than her body. A memory struck Declan, hard. A mother crying for help, a child he couldn't reach, the scream, the gunshot, the silence afterward that never left him. He forced the memory down. Not now, not in front of her. He stood and stirred the fire. The flames flickered onto Serena's face, illuminating bruises, sorrow, and something deeper underneath. A will to survive. Thor sat beside Declan, nudging his leg. The dog sensed the shift inside him. He always did. Declan's mind replayed the warehouse, the ropes, the precision knots, methodical, professional, a punishment, not a ransom. And then the GPS under his truck. Dust-covered. Old. Placed long before tonight. Someone had been watching him. Someone had wanted him to find her. He returned to Serena with a tin cup of water. "Who took your child?" he asked quietly. Her fingers tightened around the blanket. "If I speak his name, he'll kill anyone who hears it." Declan didn't press her. She was shaking again, breath uneven. Thor lifted his head and inched closer, sensing something inside her unraveling. A distant thunder rolled. Thor suddenly rose, stiff as stone. He stared at Serena, not in fear, not aggression, but recognition, as if he sensed something buried in her, something she hadn't said, something she couldn't say. Serena's eyes unfocused, her voice thinned to a whisper meant only for herself. "I heard him cry. I swear I heard him cry." Her hand clenched the ring until her knuckles turned white. A chill crept down Declan's spine. Thor, the bravest soul Declan knew, stepped back. Not from Serena, but from the truth she was choking on. Declan walked to the front door and opened it just enough to scan the trees. Rain had thinned into mist. The forest was breathing again. But something felt wrong. His eyes shifted downward, fresh tire tracks, not from his truck, from another vehicle, made not long before they arrived. Someone else had been here. He locked the door. His heart settled into that steady, dangerous beat he hadn't felt since leaving the FBI. When he returned to Serena, she was curled tightly beneath the blanket, small, fragile, terrified. "Serena," he said gently, "why were they following you?" Her eyes lifted slowly. They weren't. The words cut the room in half. "They were following you." Declan froze. His breath caught. His chest tightened. "The tracker wasn't for me," she whispered. "They knew you. They knew your past. They knew exactly how to make you find me." Declan took a step back. Anger, confusion, fear. It all struck at once. Thor barked violently at the door, startling Serena. Declan steadied her. "It's okay. No one's coming in." But he wasn't sure. He looked through the window again. Just trees. Just rain. Just shadows. But he felt it. Someone out there. Watching the cabin. Watching him. He dragged the curtains shut. Nothing tonight was random. Not the warehouse. Not the tracker. Not Serena. Not the terror in her voice when she said the word son. This wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning. If stories of faith, hope, and God's quiet miracles speak to your heart, please like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss the next step of this journey. Morning crept through the trees. Mist curled around the cabin like a warning. Declan Hayes stood by the window, watching the stillness outside. Serena lay on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, trembling even in sleep. Her torn ivory dress clung to her like a memory of violence. Thor rested beside her. The German shepherd stayed alert, ears twitching at every sound, eyes locked onto her breathing as if guarding a fragile flame. Then Thor froze, ears up, body tight, a growl rumbling deep in his chest. A car rolled to a stop outside, slow, precise, not a lost traveler, someone who knew exactly where to come. A knock, 3 calm taps. Declan opened the door a few inches. A tall man stood on the porch. Black vest, charcoal shirt, polished boots, hair slicked back with streaks of gray, eyes cold and sharp, like he enjoyed measuring a threat. "Declan Hayes," he said smoothly. "I'm Cole Matthews, head of security for Victor Caldwell. I'm here to help." Declan didn't move, didn't offer a handshake. Thor growled louder. Cole's gaze flicked to the dog and back again. Beautiful shepherd. They sense danger before their masters do. Declan stepped onto the porch, blocking his view. You drove a long way. Most people don't know this cabin exists. Cole smiled, a thin, practiced smile. People in my profession know many things. What do you want? Declan asked. I'm here to bring Mrs. Caldwell home. Her husband is devastated. Declan's jaw tightened. She was left hanging in a warehouse. That wasn't a rescue. That was murder. Cole didn't blink. Serena wanders into trouble. She always has. Then, lowering his voice, Mr. Hayes, the Bureau still whispers about the mother and child you failed to save. Heavy burden, isn't it? Thor barked violently. Inside, Serena gasped. Serena shot upright, eyes wide, body shaking. She whispered one word, terrified, broken. Him. Thor lunged at the door, claws scraping wood. Not confusion, recognition. He knew this man's scent. On the ropes, on the steel frame, on the blood. Outside, Cole's smile deepened, like he heard her fear. Declan stepped forward, closing the gap between them. Serena isn't leaving with you. Cole clasped his hands behind him. I'm not asking. Get off my porch, Declan growled. Cole leaned in just slightly, close enough for Declan to smell gun oil on his clothes. You have no authority, no badge, Cole murmured. Just a dog, and a reputation built on failure. Declan's stare turned to stone. Leave. A long, sharp silence. Then Cole stepped back, smoothing his vest. Well, if she wants a protector, she's chosen a desperate one. He walked toward his black SUV. Just before getting in, he said quietly, Tell Serena. Her husband sends his love. The SUV disappeared into the trees. Declan returned inside. Serena was shaking. Thor pressed against her legs, trying to calm her. When she saw Declan, she whispered, He wasn't here to rescue me. He tied me to that frame. He left me to die. Declan knelt beside her. Then he's not getting you back. Serena's voice cracked. If I stay, you'll die too. He'll kill Thor first. Declan took her trembling hands. Look at me. She hesitated. You're not going back. Not now. Not ever. She stared at him, eyes full of fear and something softer. Declan, if you protect me, you'll become the hunted. I've been hunted before. Silence filled the room, heavy, honest, unbroken. Then Serena whispered the question that would seal both their fates. Are you sure you want to choose me? If stories of courage, faith, and God's quiet miracles touch your heart, please like, comment, and subscribe, so you never miss the light waiting at the end of the storm. Declan drove fast through the winding mountain road, gravel breaking under the truck's tires as the forest blurred into shapes of green and shadow. Serena sat beside him, wrapped in the blanket he'd given her, body trembling from more than cold. Her hair, dark, tangled, rain-soaked, fell over her bruised cheeks. Thor sat behind them, posture stiff, nose lifted, ears tilting at every sound outside. The German shepherd sensed danger the way other creatures sensed weather, instinctively, sharply, as if he could smell the truth before it was spoken. They had left the cabin minutes after Cole's SUV disappeared into the trees. Declan didn't want to risk a second visit. Not from a man like that. Not from anyone tied to Victor Caldwell. For a long stretch of silence, only the hum of the engine filled the truck. Serena finally spoke, voice thin and rasped. You deserve to know why they took me. Declan didn't glance at her. Only if you're ready. Her fingers tightened around the blanket. I found something, she whispered. Something Victor didn't want anyone to see. Declan waited. Serena swallowed hard. Victor's charity foundation, the one everyone praises. It was never charity. It was a laundering system, Millions filtered through schools, medical programs, fake children's hospitals overseas. Declan's jaw tightened. That's why they took you? She nodded slowly. I questioned one transaction. Just one. I asked Victor for an explanation, and hours later, I was dragged out of my own home. Her voice cracked, but she forced herself to continue. They didn't want ransom. They didn't want negotiation. They wanted silence. Declan kept driving, but his grip on the wheel hardened like stone. And Cole? Serena's eyes filled with terror. He was Victor's hand, the one who carried out the orders, the one who told me I should have died quietly. Declan felt the words settle in his chest, heavy, cold, unforgiving. Declan asked quietly, "What's the real motive, Serena? This is bigger than money, bigger than charity fraud. What aren't you telling me?" Serena froze. Her breath hitched. Her entire face shifted. Fear, guilt, something deeper. She pressed a hand against her abdomen, not thinking, not meaning to, a gesture raw with instinct. Then she whispered, "If I tell you the rest, you won't see me the same way." Thor's ears perked as if sensing the shift in her heartbeat. The truck felt suddenly smaller, the air tighter. Declan didn't push, but the look in his eyes said he knew. Her secret wasn't about money, it was about life. They stopped at a small rural gas station, isolated, quiet, the kind of place where no one asked questions. A flickering neon sign buzzed overhead. Serena stepped out carefully, her bare feet touching cold pavement. The world looked too bright, too loud after hours of darkness and fear. Inside the station, a few families were buying snacks. Children's laughter echoed faintly across the parking lot. Serena froze. Her breath shattered into sharp pieces. Her knees buckled. Declan caught her before she hit the ground. "Serena, hey, look at me. You're all right." But she wasn't. Her eyes locked onto the source of the sound, two toddlers running near their mother's legs. And something inside her broke. Silent tears streamed down her cheeks. Her hand slipped from Declan's grip, trembling violently. She turned away, pressing both palms against her stomach as if trying to hold herself together. A strap of fabric fell from her blanket. Something small, colorful. A child's bracelet. Torn, worn, just big enough for a newborn wrist. Thor saw it first. The shepherd padded forward, sniffed the small bracelet, then gently picked it up in his mouth. He brought it to Serena with a soft whine, his tail lowering, eyes warm with instinctive empathy. Serena covered her mouth, sobbing soundlessly as she took the bracelet from him. Declan watched her, watched pain so deep it didn't need explanation. The bracelet said enough, more than Serena could bear to speak aloud. Declan placed a hand on her shoulder. "Your child. Victor took him." Serena didn't answer, but her silence was louder than words. They returned to the truck. The sky began to darken, even though the sun was still up. Storm clouds gathering like a bad omen. Declan started the engine. "Serena," he said softly, "I need you to trust me. All of it. Whatever you're hiding, someone has to know." Her fingers trembled around the bracelet. "I'm trying," she whispered. "But the truth ruined everything last time." Thor rested his head on her knee, grounding her again. Declan reached into his pocket. The ring. White gold, seamless, strange in weight. He had avoided opening it earlier out of respect for her panic. But after seeing Cole, after hearing about Victor, after the bracelet, he knew this ring was not just jewelry. He twisted it gently. A click sounded. The top slid open. revealing a tiny encrypted memory chip inside. Not a symbol of love, not a gift, a weapon, a truth powerful enough to kill for, or kill with. Serena's face drained of color. Declan stared at the chip, then at her. This is what they wanted? Her voice shook. It's everything. Every document, every name, every dollar that never reached the children it was meant for. Declan closed the ring with a soft snap. You should have never been alone with this. Serena's tears slipped silently down her cheek. I tried to expose him, she whispered. And the next day they told me my baby never lived. Declan's chest tightened with something fierce and protective. Serena, we are not running anymore. She looked up at him, hope and terror fighting in her eyes. Then what are we doing? Declan put the ring safely in his pocket. We're going to make Victor Caldwell face the truth. The truck rolled back onto the highway. The storm broke open behind them. If this story reminds you that even in darkness, God still plants seeds of truth and miracles, please like, comment, and subscribe to follow the next step of this journey. Declan drove through the darkness, the truck rattling over gravel as the forest closed in around them. Serena huddled in the passenger seat, blanket tight around her shoulders, breath shaky. Thor sat behind them, wide stance, ears high, body tense. He knew danger wasn't behind them anymore. It was ahead. A warm light glowed through the trees. Frank Harlow's cabin, the one place Declan still trusted. Declan stepped out first. Cold air hit his face. Serena followed, bare feet touching the frozen dirt. Her torn ivory dress fluttered around her legs, bruises visible beneath the fabric. Thor walked beside her, protective, silent, ready. Declan knocked twice. The door opened instantly. Frank Harlow stood there. 60 years old, broad shoulders, gray beard, hazel eyes sharp enough to cut through a lie before it left your tongue. He wore a flannel shirt under a worn cardigan, the kind of clothes that made him look gentle. Until you saw the posture of a man who'd spent his life running toward gunfire. Declan, Frank said softly. Didn't think you'd come back? Then he looked at Serena. Really looked. Her bruises, her fear, the way she clung to the blanket like it was the last safe thing she had. His voice hardened. You've used another name before, haven't you? Tell me, Serena, who are you running from this time? Serena flinched. Declan stepped closer to her, instinctively. Frank sighed, stepped back. Get inside. If someone followed you, we don't have long. Inside, the cabin was lined with old case files, maps, pinned notes, a life built from chasing evil. Thor swept the room in a single patrol, nose low, tail straight. He didn't like the scent in the air, but he trusted the man who lived here. Declan placed the ring on the table. Frank frowned. This piece again. He opened it, found the encrypted chip, inserted it into his battered laptop. Lines of data appeared. Financial records, shell corporations, missing money, and then a second folder. Frank clicked. Medical files filled the screen. Maternal ID, Serena Caldwell. Notes on her pregnancy, her delivery, and then infant deceased. Cause, respiratory distress. But the date? Frank leaned closer. This file was altered. Serena's breath broke. Her knees weakened. He told me my son died, she whispered. But he took him. Victor stole him from me. Frank's face softened, not pity. Recognition. Years ago, a young woman filed a police report under a different name. Same eyes, same scar. Said her newborn was taken. He paused. And then she vanished. Serena sank into the nearest chair, trembling. Declan knelt in front of her, his hand wrapped around hers. "You're not crazy," he said gently. "They rewrote your life." Thor suddenly lunged toward the window. A deep, violent growl ripped out of him. Not confusion, not fear, recognition. The same scent from the warehouse. The ropes. Coal. Declan grabbed his gun. Frank moved beside him, faster than a man his age should. Serena covered her mouth, shaking. Outside, a shadow slid past the porch. The storm had followed them here. Frank grabbed a revolver, loaded it with practiced speed. "Stay behind me," he ordered Serena. The lights flickered. Thor barked, a sharp, warning bark that tore through the cabin. Then, the door blew inward. A masked man stormed inside, tall, muscular, pistol fitted with a suppressor. His eyes, cold, empty, went straight to Serena. Thor didn't hesitate. He launched forward like a bullet of muscle and fury. A shot cracked. Serena screamed. Thor twisted midair, blood spraying, but he didn't fall. He hit the ground on his paws, wounded, but alive, and angrier than ever. He slammed into the attacker's arm, knocking the gun free. Declan tackled the man into the wall. Frank kicked the gun aside and leveled his revolver. The intruder hissed, "You can't save her. You can't save anyone." And something in Declan snapped. "No," he growled. "Not again." He punched the man until he dropped unconscious. Thor staggered, bleeding from the side. Serena fell to her knees beside him. "Thor, no, please." Her tears fell onto his fur. Thor licked her hand, tail tapping weakly. He was hurt, but alive, still fighting for her. Declan pressed a cloth to the wound. "It's a graze. He'll make it." Serena sobbed in relief, forehead pressed to Thor's. Frank holstered his gun, breath heavy. "That wasn't an assassination," he said quietly. "That was a reminder. They know exactly where you are." Declan clenched his jaw. "And they'll keep coming." Frank stepped close, face lined with years of guilt, wisdom, pain. "Declan," he whispered, "you lost a child once because you arrived too late. I watched that destroy you." He pointed at Serena, at her, at the blood on the floor, and at the truth in that ring. And this time, if you let them take another child, hers, you won't survive that weight. Not again. Declan looked at Serena, broken, shaking, still holding Thor like he was the last piece of hope she had left. His voice was low, steady, final. "I'm not losing another family. Not to Victor, not to Cole, not to anyone. If you believe God puts the right people in the right place to protect his children, please like, comment, and subscribe. This journey is far from over." The parking garage was nearly empty. Only the hum of fluorescent lights echoed across the concrete. Declan pulled the truck into a shadowed corner. Serena sat beside him, blanketed, pale, her breathing shallow. Thor lay in the back seat, still stitched and bandaged from the gunshot graze, yet alert, ears twitching with every sound. A lone figure stepped out from behind a pillar. Mia Donovan. She walked with the brisk confidence of someone who had nothing to prove. 35, sharp-jawed, dark auburn hair pulled into a tight bun, her black blazer fitting across her athletic shoulders. Her navy blouse contrasted against skin the color of warm porcelain. Her eyes, cold blue, investigative, unflinching, were the eyes of an agent who'd refused to bend, even when the system pushed back. She approached Declan, gaze softening just slightly. "You look worse than the last time the Bureau talked about you," she murmured. Declan huffed a humorless breath. "It's been that kind of week." Then Mia's eyes shifted to Serena. Recognition, shock, and something like anger on her behalf. "I've seen your face on every federal alert. Mia said quietly. I didn't think you'd still be alive. Serena gave a weak, trembling smile. Some days, neither did I. Mia stepped closer, lowering her voice. You said you have proof. Real proof. Where is it? Declan lifted the ring. Mia's brows rose. In there? Clever. They gathered behind the truck, shielded from cameras. Mia plugged the encrypted chip into a secure tablet. A single audio file appeared. Just 3 seconds long. No label, no timestamp. Just a file Serena could not bring herself to open. Mia tapped it. A soft click, static, then Serena's own voice, weak, terrified. Please, please don't take him. A cold male voice cut in. Calm, controlled. Victor Caldwell. The baby cannot exist. He ruins everything. Then silence. Dead. Heavy. Soul-cutting silence. Serena folded as if her bones gave way. Declan caught her before she slid to the floor. Her hands trembled violently against his chest. I can't, she whispered. I can't hear that again. Mia swallowed hard, anger coloring her cheeks. That's premeditated murder. A conspiracy to conceal a living child. Federal, international, financial. She shook her head. Victor's finished. Serena clutched Declan's shirt, gasping. I never heard him say it. When they took the baby, I was sedated. But hearing that voice, her breath shattered. I'll break if I hear it again. Thor pressed his nose into her arm, whining softly, comforting her, grounding her. Even wounded, he sensed every tremor inside her. Mia turned off the tablet. We go above local authorities, she said. No city cops, no state offices, no mid-level FBI supervisors. Anyone Victor can buy, we bypass. She met Declan's eyes. I'm sending this straight to a federal prosecutor in D.C., someone too clean to be bought. Declan nodded. Good. Serena wiped her tears. What happens now? Mia exhaled. Now, we set a trap. Serena tensed. What do you mean? Mia stepped closer, voice dropping. The gala. Victor's charity gala tomorrow night, where he'll be pretending to be the grieving husband, heartbroken over his missing wife. Serena flinched at the word. Everyone important will be there, Mia continued. Press, politicians, donors. She looked at Serena. He won't be able to kill you in front of 100 cameras, not without ending his whole empire. Declan crossed his arms. You want her to walk straight into the lion's den. Mia nodded. But this time, she won't be alone. Thor let out a sharp bark as if agreeing. Serena inhaled shakily. He'll see me. He'll know I survived. He'll kill me the moment I step off stage. Mia shook her head. No, he won't. Because by then, the prosecutor will already have the file. The world will already know the truth. And Victor Caldwell, America's philanthropist, will be cornered like the criminal he is. Declan looked at Serena. You don't have to do this. Serena met his gaze with a strength she didn't know she had. If I don't face him, he wins. And my son, wherever he is, will never be free. Mia placed a hand on Serena's shoulder. We strike first, at the gala. Make him slip. Serena nodded, breath trembling. They had a plan, or the beginning of one. Mia's phone rang. Unknown number. She frowned, stepped away, and answered. A male voice slid through the speaker, smooth, quiet, venom wrapped in velvet. Agent Donovan, the man said calmly. You think Serena is innocent? Mia stiffened. Cole. Declan and Serena froze at the name. Cole chuckled softly. You all believe Victor is the monster in this story. A pause. Be careful. Serena has secrets too. Secrets that, if revealed, might turn the entire country against her. The line clicked dead. Mia slowly lowered the phone. What did he say? Declan asked. Mia swallowed. He said, Serena isn't as innocent as we think. Serena's face drained of color, her voice barely escaped. He's lying. But even she didn't sound certain. Declan stepped forward immediately, eyes burning. He's manipulating you. He knows we're close. He wants us to doubt her. Mia nodded slowly. I know. But we still have to be ready. When you corner men like Victor, they claw back. Serena hugged her arms around her body. Her whisper trembled. Cole knows things. Things Victor kept hidden even from me. Declan stepped close, tilting her chin to meet his eyes. You're not alone in this. Whatever truth comes out, we face it together. Serena blinked, tears forming again. She nodded. Thor gently leaned against her leg. His quiet loyalty a promise that even when the world turned dark, she would not face it alone. Mia looked at all three of them, resolve tightening her features. Tomorrow night, she said softly, we walk into Victor's world, and we end this. If you believe God can turn even the darkest truth into a path toward justice, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support keeps this journey alive. Flashbulbs exploded across the entrance of the Imperial Grand Hotel. Cameras lined both sides of the red carpet. Reporters whispered into microphones. Donors in tuxedos and shimmering gowns gathered to celebrate Victor Caldwell, the man the nation believed was grieving his missing wife. But tonight, grief was the last thing in his eyes. Victor stood beneath the chandeliered entrance, tall and immaculate. His charcoal suit was tailored sharply against his athletic frame. Silver hair combed back, jaw clean-shaven, lips curved in a politician's perfect smile. Only the cold flicker in his gray eyes hinted at the cruelty underneath. He lifted his glass to the crowd. Thank you all for supporting our foundation. Tonight, we honor the children who rely on our help. The doors at the back opened. Every camera turned, every breath stalled. Serena Caldwell walked in. The room gasped as one. Her torn ivory dress had been carefully mended just enough to be presentable. Yet the visible bruises on her arms and the faint purple line along her jaw told a story no makeup could hide. Her dark hair fell in soft, trembling waves. She looked fragile and impossibly brave. Thor walked beside her, bandaged but proud, each step steady, protective. Declan followed closely, wearing a simple black suit that did nothing to hide the tension in his shoulders. Near the side stairs, Mia Donovan waited, holding her tablet, ready. Victor froze. The smile on his face shattered for half a second before he rebuilt it. Serena? He whispered. My God, you're alive. He rushed to her. Cameras clicked wildly. He wrapped his arms around her. From afar, it looked like a reunion of love. Up close, it was a vice grip. His lips pressed to her ear. You should have stayed dead. But Victor forgot the stage microphones behind them. The whisper carried across the speakers, soft, chilling, echoing into the stunned silence of hundreds. Serena stepped back. Her legs trembled, but her voice did not. Everyone needs to hear the truth. Victor stiffened, smile cracking again. Darling, you're in shock. Come sit down. No. Serena lifted the microphone. I was not kidnapped for ransom. I was kidnapped by my husband. A gasp, a ripple of disbelief. Victor's eyes darkened. Serena. She cut him off. He staged everything. The rescue pleas, the PR campaign, the charity expansion, all lies. Declan's gaze remained locked on Victor, ready for any move. Thor growled softly. Serena continued, voice trembling but strong. He hung me from a steel frame to make me disappear, because I found out he used the children's charity to launder millions, and because I discovered the truth about our baby. The crowd erupted into whispers. Someone dropped a champagne flute. Victor reached for her arm. Too late. Mia tapped her tablet. The ballroom speakers cracked alive. 3 seconds played. 3 seconds that froze the world. Serena's voice. Please, don't take him. Victor's voice, cold as ice. The baby cannot exist. He ruins everything. Then silence. A silence that broke something unfixable. Victor lunged for the microphone. You stupid woman, he hissed. If you just signed over the assets, none of this. Every camera caught it. Every donor heard it. Every federal agent in the room rose from their seats. Red laser dots bloomed across Victor's chest. Victor Caldwell, an agent shouted. You are under arrest. Chaos exploded. Reporters yelled. Guests backed away in shock. Agents surged forward, cuffing Victor as he thrashed and screamed. You think you've won? He spat at Serena. You know nothing about the children who went missing, nothing about the places we built overseas. His voice was cut off as they dragged him out. The crowd was silent, horrified, changed. Serena stood trembling, and then she collapsed. Not from weakness, from release. Declan caught her in his arms, holding her close as the ballroom lights flickered. Thor pressed himself against her legs, whining softly, the guardianship in his warm eyes unmistakable. Mia approached, placing a firm hand on Serena's shoulder. You did it. He can't hurt you again. Those kids, the ones who vanished, we're reopening every case. Time passed, weeks, months. Investigations spread across continents. Victor's empire fell apart piece by piece. Hundreds of children's files were uncovered. Many families received justice at last. Serena founded a rescue fund, quiet, powerful, unstoppable. Declan became her security advisor and partner in every mission involving lost children. Thor was awarded a national medal, the press calling him the four-legged hero who wouldn't let evil breathe. Their lives reformed into something new, something fragile and sacred. One warm golden evening, Serena and Declan walked along a quiet trail behind the cabin. Sunlight brushed her hair. She held Thor's leash loosely, though he stayed at her side without needing it. She looked at Declan. Tell me something honestly. He nodded. Did you save me because you felt responsible? Or because you were afraid of losing another child? The question sank deep into him. But Declan didn't look away. He didn't run from the pain her words touched. I saved you, he said softly, because this time, I refused to turn my back on a mother's grief. Serena's eyes glistened. She squeezed his hand. A silent thank you, a quiet beginning. The wind shifted. The forest hushed. And somewhere in the fading light, a question lingered. Not spoken aloud, but felt. If Victor hid one child, what else did he hide? And is Serena's baby still out there, somewhere in the world? If stories of justice, mercy, and miracles touch your heart, please like, comment, and subscribe. Because even when the truth surfaces, God often saves one more chapter for hope. In every story of justice and redemption, there comes a moment when the darkness breaks and a quiet light rises. Some call it fate. Some call it courage. But many of us know it as the quiet work of God, moving through ordinary lives in extraordinary ways. And perhaps that is the miracle we forget most easily. That even in our hardest days, God places people, moments, and second chances along our path, whispering that we are not alone. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who might need a reminder that hope still moves. Leave a comment. Let your voice be part of this journey. And subscribe so we can walk together through more stories of grace, courage, and unexpected miracles. May God bless you, keep you safe, and guide your steps through every chapter of your own life.